I've been a certified trainer, and about 5 years ago is when I really started my career at 35 years old. And sales is what I kind of jumped into sort of by accident. I had a dental tech school at the time, and I found sales to be so complicated. Do any of you feel like it's a little bit complicated? Like there's all sorts of books to read and all sorts of ways to do it. And how nice would it be to have like a simple process that works every time? Would that be nice? So that's kind of like the purpose of this, is to not only give you a simple process, but how about we make sales more fun? So in order to do that, if you guys can actually redefine what sales actually is, that can actually be really helpful. So sales, and some of these concepts may not be anything new. They may be stuff that you've already known, but just to like refresh, no matter where you are, whether you're a beginner, you're advanced and have been doing sales for a long time, doesn't really matter, because we're always all about, good, better, best, getting better and better at what we do. So I like to see sales as more service, which you've probably already heard. So when you can be more of a service-oriented salesperson, then it kind of gets rid of the word sales, and now you're just here to serve. The other thing too is making sales way fun. So the way you can do this is, can you think of a time when you had so much fun serving someone? Can you remember of a specific time? And as you think of that time, remember the feeling that you had when you were serving someone, and that feeling of power, empowerment, and gratitude, and total confidence, right? So before you meet with someone and you're about to serve someone, you want to get into that powerful state of service. And I was playing music before we started. You could even play your favorite song to get you hyped up and excited to have fun. You can also, anchor those positive states so that, and a good way to do that too is have a mantra. So sometimes I'll have I've written out a mantra and I'll just read through it right before, because it elicits the state of service and get rid of that sales mentality. It automatically kind of puts this aura around you of service and excitement, and that you're really going to help someone in a way that's beneficial to them, not necessarily to you, but to them. So that can be really helpful. So my whole intention today, which I would like if you wrote down an intention of what you would like out of this training. If you can write something down, then you're going to find that you're going to your mind is going to actually filter out the things that don't serve you and filter in the things that do. And that's going to actually help you have that outcome that you're looking for of why you showed up today. So if you'll write something down really quick, just one sentence, what is it that you want from this class today? And if you want to put it in the chat, that would be really great, because then we can see what everybody is looking for. What do you want to feel at the end of this to move forward in this? Will you all put something in the chat? That way I have something to go off of, because I have my own idea of what you may be looking for, but this would be really helpful to give me a target during this whole thing. Let me give you 30 seconds. Be able to improve closing ratios. Good. What ratio would you like to have? Because if you were at a, say, 50% closing ratio, would 51% be an improvement? It would, right? So if you can be really specific, I would like to get up to about 80 to 90% closing ratio. Awesome. Perfect. Currently at 70. Perfect. Okay. So if this could improve by 10 to 20% knowing this, that would be really valuable, right? Perfect. Anybody else? I know there's like 4 or 5 people on here. If you could put it in the chat, I'll give you 10 more seconds. All right. So my whole intention that I'll share with you now is to really give you a systemized way of serving. I want to say cells, but I'm going to say serving throughout this. Okay. So if you go to the PDF, I dropped it. And if you haven't downloaded it yet, I just dropped it in the comments. You can download this so you can follow along. So on the 5-step sales process, there's 5 easy steps that you can do. And the whole intention is to know exactly where you're at every point in time so that you know how to successfully complete the process. Can you drop it again? Yes, I will drop it again. Here you go. So go ahead and download that. Okay, so number 1 is to establish rapport. I'm sure you guys have heard this, but rapport, it's not just a way to like someone or have something in common. Rapport is actually a really unconscious way of connecting to someone. So the definition of rapport is people who are like each other tend to like each other. So when we can actually create a unconscious connection with someone, it just takes things to a whole new level. It goes deeper than just the surface of, oh, how are you? And trying to find that commonality of something that you like together so you can get the conversation going. So at the end of the PDF, I actually added rapport. So I want to dive into rapport because to be able to establish rapport with any person at any moment of time, it actually needs to happen at an unconscious level. So what's interesting is that the theory is that communication is 7% words, 38% tonality, the tone of voice that you use, and 55% physiology, which this is really interesting because if you took away words and tonality, half of what we're doing is just by physiology. The way you stand, the way you're actually matching and mirroring someone, which we'll go into in a moment. So rapport, it's a process of responsiveness, not necessarily liking someone. Okay, so if you never spoke or like used any words or tone of voice, you could actually gain rapport with someone. I don't know if you've ever had a moment of silence with someone or you met someone that they don't really say much, but you still can build rapport without even speaking with them. I had a friend like that a long time ago, and we connected in a different way, and we rarely ever spoke to one another, but we loved each other. So I want to emphasize this because the unconscious things that we're doing, you're likely already doing these things, but now you'll be conscious and aware of what you're doing. And then you can even, because you're going to become conscious and aware, you're going to be 10 times better at building rapport with people, which is essential in serving other people. So rapport is actually established by matching and mirroring. So what matching and mirroring are is if you think about when you match someone, So say you're sitting with someone and they tilt their head, you could actually tilt your head the other side, like the opposite direction as them. That would be matching them. Or like, have you ever been in a room and a lot of people have their legs crossed? You could actually cross your legs the opposite way as that of them, and that would be matching them. Even if someone crossed their legs more just at their ankles, you could cross your legs up at the knee so that you're not matching them completely, but you're still matching them, but it's the opposite leg. Okay, and then mirroring would be, when you look into the mirror, you pretty much use the same arm across from you. So that would be mirroring someone. So even when someone's, crossing their arms like this, you could somewhat cross your arms and maybe have your hand up while you're crossing the other. So when you start matching and mirroring the physiology of people, then that can actually create a connection without saying anything. And we're going to get down more into tonality and words in a little bit as well. Okay, so if you raise your hand, this is a little bit more difficult on Zoom, but if you raise your hand, everyone, and on the screen, so this would be matching. Now, if I keep your hand up for a moment, now you're mirroring. Yeah, so if it's opposite is matching. So if it's on the opposite side. And then, yeah. So then if I switched arms, now Brandon, now we're mirroring. Make sense? Yeah, pretty simple. Okay, so down on the handout, physiology. So you get posture. You can match or mirror their posture, gestures that they use. So I've seen people, like point. You can use similar gestures with your hands that they do. You'll immediately feel connected with one another. Same with facial expressions and blinking. Have you ever talked to someone and their eyes always seem open? You may not have become conscious of this, but you likely are blinking at the same time they're blinking. Or there's other times when you see them blinking while you're looking at them, it's because you're not blinking with them. So you want to create, like, just knowing this alone is automatically going to install this within you, which is really, really nice. Okay, so then facial or breathing. Crazy enough, breathing is huge. If you could even just breathe, so if you breathe in with me and breathe out and breathe in and breathe out. Now, all of a sudden, as a group, we have unconscious rapport. And it can all of a sudden create a calm feeling and liking and trust with a person, just breathing alone. Pretty cool, right? So when you apply all of these things, which now that you know it, it's automatically installing this within yourself. You're just automatically going to be doing this from now on. And you'll notice when you're with people, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that just happened. All of a sudden you become conscious about it when you are likely doing it all along. Now you're just it's creating an awareness. So you'll also notice that when I move, so there's group rapport too. Sometimes if I move, if everyone was on camera, you would see like a ripple effect that then other people move too. So start being aware if you have the gallery on And if you're off camera, I would totally recommend being on camera so you can kind of watch and see how people are building rapport with each other. That way you can be that much more conscious about it. So tonality. Tonality is extremely important. Have you ever gotten on, well, of course you do, you get on calls and someone will answer either high pitch or a low pitch. You can actually, in the first 5 seconds, I would even say 2 or 3 seconds, if you match their tonality, it can actually increase rapport extremely rapidly. So usually like I'm more low tone, but I also will answer higher tonality, like, hey Chantel, how are you? Yet, and if she were to match, hey Camilla, I'm doing great, all of a sudden it creates instant rapport. So I'll even adjust my tonality with the other person just so that I can instantly gain rapport, and then you connect the rest of the time. So even if you walked away with one thing today and just sat there and like got really good with tonality and tempo, how fast or how slow is your speed of voice? So if someone talks really, really fast, you want to actually match them. But if someone's talking slower, you want to slow down with them, because it creates that likeness and commonality without even having a conversation. So tonality is really, really big. Okay, then there's timbre. This is like the raspiness. You know, some people talk really raspy, and you don't have to match it exactly, especially like the whole point is also to be yourself while building rapport. Okay, so just be yourself, just start being conscious and aware of this. Also being really smooth with your speech, if someone's smooth, or harmonious. And then there's volume, which is quiet. It's the loudness, quiet or loud. I had this neighbor, he's so loud and he speaks extremely loud and boisterous and he's excited all the time. And one time I went to his house and he was speaking like this and I was like, holy crap, this is like so loud and crazy. But then I was like, what if I just matched him? So I started being really loud like him. And it was actually really fun. The conversation became extremely fun. And we immediately connected in a way. And when you know that you connect unconsciously, you have a certain feeling inside. And it's almost like it clicks and you know you've connected and have rapport with someone. So if someone's even talking quietly, have you ever heard someone talk really quietly and you're like, man, I can't even hear what they're saying? And you're like, I wish they would speak louder. Well, if you actually became more quiet, you could connect with them and remove the awkwardness. So if there's ever any awkwardness, it just means you need to build rapport with that person more. So know that that is a big sign. Awkwardness is need to build rapport. Even silent awkwardness, it can be completely silent. Remember, 55% is physiology. So you can actually take silence as an advantage for yourself and build rapport silently. Hopefully this is knocking down a lot of limitations that you've placed in your mind so that you can see now that it's super easy to connect with people. So then there's words. You want to actually use similar predicates that other people use. So if my word is like awesome, you want to use the word awesome in your speech a lot more frequently so that you can connect with me. And it's never about you, it's about the other person. Okay, because we're serving other people. So I want to find out what you guys' words are. That way I can connect with what you're saying, because we picture every word, we picture something and it has a certain feeling. So if we can match those internal representations, those pictures, those sounds, and those feelings for people, the more we become like each other and build that unconscious rapport and connection with people. So then common experiences and associations, 7% of words, remember that. So common experiences and associations, do you guys ever get with people and you find those common, like, oh, you know, I love boating. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I love boating too. But notice how that's only 7%. 7%. So remember all of the rest too, because you could go deeper. This is how you can go into deeper conversations with people when you build massive rapport. Then there's content chunks, which is big picture. Is somebody a big picture or are they more detail oriented? You want to match that with someone. If they're only big picture, just talk big picture about things. Okay. So does anybody have questions in this section of step number 1? I know that's a lot to take in. I would definitely practice this and become more aware, because once you have number 1 down, which you likely already do, the rest of the sales process is a cinch. Any questions? You can put your hands up or drop it in the chat. By the way, you can ask any question during this whole time, okay? All right, so let's go back over to the page number 1 on the 5-step sales process. We're on number 2 now. Now, number 2 is we want to ask a lot of questions. I remember when the beginning of my journey for a long time, I would sit there and I would tell someone what I think that they need and what I think that, you know, this product is. So, you know, this water, it's really good because you drink it and it hydrates you. But what if they don't even need this because they're already drinking water? So the biggest thing to know is number 2, you actually want to ask tons and tons of questions. Okay, let them talk. In fact, for at least 20 minutes, I would ask questions. That way you're finding out. The purpose of asking questions is to find out what their needs and wants are. So the questions you ask are directly related to the business of the person you're interviewing. Or, you know, in your case, you're finding people that are looking for a home. You could have your own idea of what they're looking for, but until you ask enough questions and know as much detail as possible, your mind is going to match what house is going to be perfect for them. So if this is how you can also close more sales, because the more detailed and vision you have in your mind of what they want and what they need and what their big purpose is, the more you're going to close sales, because they know that you know how to get them what they want. Okay, so a lot of questions, I would even design like 20 questions. Write this down as a task for yourself. Write down 20 questions that would help you know exactly what they need. So there's already 6 things on here to help you with that. And you likely already have, depending on how long you've been in this field, you likely already know what a lot of those questions are. So what do you do? What are you interested in? Okay, so you can find out what most interests them in a home. And then for what purpose? For what purpose is extremely important, because when you know what their highest purpose is, I mean, of course, buying a home, they just want a home, right? Like to have a family. That's one thing. But what if you went a step above to find their higher purpose? Then you can actually really serve them. Because it's likely they haven't even thought of what that higher purpose is. and your job is to help them get there. So why do they want this particular house that's in their mind? Okay, because they live in a certain house, but they likely want bigger, better things. So find out what that is. Also discover their client's IR of success. So IR is internal representation. What do they see? What do they want to hear? What do they want to feel in this new home that they're about to purchase, that you're helping them? When you have that vision and you know exactly what that is, and that's why I say you want details, then you're going to be able to match what that is, and you'll likely show less houses the more detailed you get. So then discover their motivation, the decisions that they make, and their reassurance strategies. So it's kind of like a recipe. If you can find out what their strategies are in purchasing a home, which I go a lot more in this in my NLP trainings, but if you can find out what their main internal representation is, like, are they more of a person that likes the look? So I used to work for Audi years ago. And did you know that when a person goes and buys a car, all that matters is if they get 20% of what they want in a car, everything else doesn't matter. So if you can even find that 20%, maybe it's like 5 main things. Maybe that's all it is, and everything else works. Like everything else will make them happy. Find those 5 things. And then that's going to be the strategy. Certain look. Maybe it's the exterior of the house that's like their biggest number 1 thing. So you could even say, what's your number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? That's going to even show you what's going to motivate and drive them to that end results of their buying decision. Okay. And then you want to find out what's important to them, which is eliciting their values. What is their values is what's important to them. So you can simply even ask, what's important to you about this house that you want? Maybe it's a 3-car garage or a 4-car garage. Maybe it's square footage. Get their top 5 things that are most important to them. And then just remember to create other questions. So I would do 20 questions, and then what's the top 5? Start testing which 5 questions are going to elicit the most detailed response from people. It's going to be kind of a testing thing, because if you can narrow down from 20 questions to 5 main questions that give you the most clear vision and details of what a person wants, then you don't need 20 questions, you just need the 5. Okay. So just that alone is going to help you show less houses. And maybe you can narrow down like 3 houses. Now, I know the market is different because there's a lot of bidding wars going on, but you know exactly how to do this, right? So tweak this to exactly what is going to help you the most and show less houses with the shortest amount of time, because I'm all about giving people the most value with the fastest results. We're kind of taking out all the trash right now and getting rid of it and taking the best pieces so that you can close more and use less time per person that comes your way, because that's truly serving someone. Okay, so asking questions is going to get you number 3. It's going to elicit what they really need. So find out in 3, you're going to need to find the need behind the need. Okay, which is going to establish value. Now, when you establish value, you could actually ask them this one question. How long have you been dreaming about this next house, this dream house that you want? Now, if they say 5 years, I would be silent. Because the answer you actually want is 15 plus years. And when you become silent, in their own self, they're actually going to go inside themselves, because they're going to be like, oh, they didn't like that answer. Just in their own mind, they're going to start questioning themselves, which is okay, because you want them to go inside themselves and find that answer that's 15 plus years. Because if you can find them that house at a decent price that they can afford and have their top 5 things, then you are gold to them. And guess what? They're going to refer all their people to you. Okay, so for 15 plus years, that's what you're looking for. So use silence as an advantage to help them give you that thing that's clear deep down inside of them, because you want to give them their dream home at the price they can afford right now in their life. And that's going to be the need behind the need. And when you can actually get a 15 plus year dream into the amount you can afford, all of a sudden you build this huge amount of value. If it's only like a 2 or 3 or 5 year dream, the value is going to be less. So you're creating a massive amount of value. Can you see that? A 15-year dream, and you can get them that at the price they can afford right now. That's massive. Okay, and you're going to actually even solve a huge giant problem that they've had. Because most people, when they go to buy a home, like I said, they're only getting 20% of what they want. But what if you could actually give them 80% or 100% of what they want and have it affordable where they're at financially? That'd be sweet, right? This is how people refer oodles of people to you. Who doesn't like referrals, right? I like referrals. I don't know about you, but I like referrals. They're the best. Okay, so your job at this point is to quickly find as many no's as possible. Now, depending on where you are in your journey, you may have already gone through tons of no's, and someone went over somewhere else. That's okay, because you want to actually find as many no's as possible, because then you're going to be able to pinpoint who you do not want to work with and who you do want to work with, because you want decision makers. Have you guys ever worked with someone that can't even make a decision, and how annoying that is, and how many homes you have to show because of it? That's the people you don't want to work with. So the more no's you can find, and this gets rid of rejection, because it's okay to be rejected, because it's not about you, it's about the person. You want to serve the people that are most decision oriented. So stop taking no's personally. Just stop it. It's a good thing. You're just finding, and even if you've been in real estate for 10 years or more, it doesn't matter. You're still finding that perfect person so that you can get your perfect ideal client every single time. And even then, there might be 1 or 2 things that you're like, you know what, I don't like that. It's kind of like dating, right? You go through all these people and you figure out what attributes you don't like and what attributes you do like. And all of a sudden, one day, you meet the one. But then how do you meet not only the one? How do you meet an infinite amount of people that are the one? So that's why it's good to get no's. It's never about you. It's about you finding the one and an infinite amount of ones. Okay. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the spinning plate analogy. Have you ever seen those people? I wish I had a video. Maybe I'll create a video on this and somehow get it to you. But there's guys that will put a plate and it'll keep spinning, and then they'll have something right here. I think I've seen it on the talent shows or whatever. And then they start spinning a plate here, and then they'll put it on their knee and then their foot, and all of a sudden they're all over, right? And they're spinning. Have you ever met someone like this? A client, and they keep, oh yeah, I'll call you later. And they just can never, well, kind of like the person I was talking before, they can never make a decision, or that they won't tell you yes and they won't tell you no. They just keep spinning. They're not going to stop, nor will they stop, or whatever. Get it? Those are the people that in sales, a lot of people spend 80% on spinning plates. Stop it. Just stop. You want to focus all your attention and energy on the 20% that are going to buy. So in order to find out what this is, you actually want to push up against people. And this is different than being a pushy salesman. This is just asking lots of questions like, okay, when do you want to have this happen? When are you ready? Are you going to, is it a yes or is it a no? You want to push up against them enough that they tell you yes or no. Do you even believe and trust in me that I can find this deal for you, this specific house that you're talking about? Do you even trust that I can do this? Yes. Awesome. Okay. So are you in? Do you ever send an agreement form for them and they don't sign it and you're trying to reach out to them? They may be a spinning plate. So you want to actually acknowledge it. But then at the same time, it's a little bit of a paradox, because once you see that, okay, this is a spinning plate person, then you can actually learn how to push up against them to say yes or no. You want to get a yes or no from them. Do you even trust me that I can find this house for you? No, I really don't. Awesome. Now we can move on. I'd rather have someone tell me no than be a spinning plate, because honestly, you are the one that's creating the spinning plate. Interesting. So the other thing is if you are a spinning plate, you need to actually clear that up inside of you so you can attract the ones and know how to deal with the spinning plate, because you have the learnings to get a yes or a no. You know how to stop your own spinning plate and make decisions. Then you're actually going to reflect and project that onto other people and know exactly how to deal with it. So the faster you are at making decisions, the better. Okay, so once you have established a need behind the need, then you can move on to 4. But if you have not, you don't want to move on to number 4. Okay. Don't even go look for a house for someone until they've said yes. It's a waste of time and energy for yourself. Don't even do it. Reminders, let's see. Thanks for many reminders and excellent information. I have to get ready for an appointment. Okay, that's fine. You can also watch the replay. So, okay, so you can also, in 3, you can use a conditional close by saying, do you see any value in this? You could also say, then it would be valuable for you to have me help you find this home for you, wouldn't it? Once they say yes and they're on board, then move to the next step, which is 4. Link the need or value to your product or service. So link the need with the solution. You've got to have the problem and the solution, and you are the bridge that bridges it. Okay, so at this point, you propose how your solution, your product or service, will solve the problem that you uncovered earlier. Make a clear proposal of how, but with as little detail as possible. Only tell the client enough to make it possible for them to purchase. So remember how I talked about at the beginning of my sales journey, I would talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. This is key of the less you talk, the better. Because you may be talking them out of the deal because they already have a picture of what they want. So the less you say, the better. And you're just going to link them. Have you ever been closed on a product ever where you've told this person everything, and at the end, they're like, yep, my training would help you with that. Done, you're closed, you're like, I'm in, all right, awesome. You don't even know what the training is. You don't even know details or anything, but you know that they know that what your problem is, and you absolutely believe that they have a solution. And they didn't even really tell you much. So linking it is, you can reiterate, okay, I know that you want a 4-car garage. I know that you want 5,000 square feet. You want this and this and this. The more details you get, and the purpose behind why you want this kind of house is because you really want more room for your kids to run around in the yard. And you know, that 4-car garage is going to give you extra space for your ATVs and your lawnmower and this and this and that. Okay, I know how to find those places, that kind of house. I'm pretty sure I've got like 5 in my mind already of what houses I can send your way. Are you in? Are you ready? Yeah. All right. See, all of a sudden you link what their needs and wants are and their purpose to what you can do with them. And you said hardly anything. You can use, there's a little, there's like, you can say, because I know, I'm so confident that I can find you this house because I've done it many times. And I have all of these testimonials and blah, 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 blah. Using the word because is extremely powerful. Also, the agreement frame, never say but or you understand. Because when you say, you know, I found this house that I know it's perfect for you, but all of a sudden it negates everything before what you said. So you want to say, you know what, I agree, and use and. You say, I respect that, and. So get rid of but, and I understand. If they're complaining about something, you say, if you say, I understand that, yes, it's relating to them, yet it allows them to sit with that complaint. So if you say, I agree, and I can also find you blah, 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 then you're agreeing with them while helping them get out of that complaint into something more light and more of what they want. And then the strategies you elicited before of what they need and what they want, you can also use those same words and the same things and create that vision again and feed that back to them linking it with what you can help them with. Okay, and then closing, just ask for the order. It's so simple to close, guys. You need to remember, closing is serving. Closing is at the end when it's the most exciting, because now you get to say, when do you want to start? So simple. At the bottom of the page, closing, there are a number of ways to ask for the order, technically called closing. There are a number of books with many ideas that have worked over the years for closing. Here are some valuable ones. Make it as simple as possible though. Have like maybe 3 lines that you memorize that you use and test which ones are the best. Always assume the sell for sure. Assume that they're gonna buy. Then there's the order blank close, alternative choice question where you give them, hey, how about, do you want to start now or next week or in 2 days? Give them a double bind where you bind them into 2 options. That way they have to pick one. A sharp angle close is how will you be paying today, but this is different for real estate. So how about I send this to you today? Can you get the agreement form that they signed to sign up with you? Will you sign it today or tomorrow? Tomorrow. I don't have time today, but I do tomorrow. Okay, awesome. And then always while you're on the phone with them or in person, make another appointment for the next appointment with you, or else you'll create a spinning plate. You've got to have closed stuff, a next appointment in the calendar with them. Now, objections on the 3rd page. Objections are really easy. In fact, definitely see objections as an advantage, because objections are them bringing curiosity up into your awareness. The worst objection is the unspoken objection. So if people are not saying what is deep inside of them because for whatever reason, that's not good. So that's why I say it's better to get objections and reframe that. And there's no such thing as objections. There is a such thing as curiosity. They're curious because maybe they don't have enough money. These are the 4 main objections, which of course you're going to find the house that they can afford, right? Or maybe you find a house that's above what they're willing to pay, but it's the 5 top things that they want. But if you can help them overcome the objection of, I don't have enough money for that price, then all of a sudden it won't even matter. Okay, so the way that you get through these objections is write down your own story of when you bought something and you didn't have enough money. How many people have had a phone and it broke and you didn't have the money to replace it, but you replaced it anyway? Right? Who had a doctor bill, and you're all free and clear of this. Who had someone in their family that like broke a leg or something and they had to go to the doctor, and you weren't planning on spending that money, but you made the money to pay for it? Who's ever bought a car that was above the price range that they were willing to pay, and you bought it anyway because it was the perfect car that you wanted? So you prioritize your money, or you just made more money to cover it. Okay, so it won't work for me. You know, I don't believe that you can find the house for me. When were the times that you didn't believe in someone or yourself, but you did it anyway, and then all of a sudden you have this newfound belief? find the stories that you have for any objection you ever get or curiosity question you get. Start having a notebook and writing those down, and then find the story that matches. And I would find 2 or 3 stories for each one, because then people can start relating to you. If you've experienced it, it's no longer, and you have the learnings and you've overcome. Objection is another word for overcome. Then they're going to match a story with the story you use. It's going to take them back to a time in their life that they overcame that objection. Okay. Now we have 5 minutes left. I don't know if you have any questions. If you have questions, put them in the chat. In the meantime, have you guys ever had like anxiety where you're anxious about calling someone or texting someone or anything like that? Anybody had that before? Because I do have a really cool anxiety workshop that's a replay that I would love to offer you. It's totally free and it's online. So if you would like that, just put your email in the chat and I can email it to you. And this can actually help you overcome any of that kind of stuff. It's pretty dang cool. I have a lady that does a demo, and I also have, and she overcomes the anxiety in this workshop. And I also have like a PDF that has the script and everything that you can use. It's super, super cool. And it's only 38 minutes. So you can definitely check that out and I'll send it to you. Okay, any questions before we wrap this up? What questions do you have? Feeling pretty good about everything? Awesome. Thank you so much. Great class altogether. Good. Let Chantel know if there's any other like certain topics that you would like to learn about, any ways that anything that you need a breakthrough in your mind, anything holding you back, and then we can get all of that really great feedback so that we can use that. And I'll do a presentation for those kind of things.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And next week, just so you guys know on this schedule, we're doing 12-week goals. So we'll get into setting your goals and how to really kill it for this upcoming quarter. And then also I'm going to combine in, since we had the technical difficulties last week, I am going to combine in some of the visioneering. So I'm going to do kind of a combo class. So hopefully you guys can make it next week because we would love to have you.
Thanks, guys. Hope you have a really great day.
Thank you. It was